the three types: criterion-based, reader-based, and hybrid. You've likely already heard of the 3CQ framework for feedback, where you give a compliment, make a comment, make a connection, and then ask a question. This video is a complement to that approach. When it comes to criterion-based feedback, there are a few benefits. One is that it's standardized. Everyone is following the same criteria. This makes it easier to compare feedback from one peer or instructor to another. Second, those criteria are generally well defined in connection with the assignment requirements. That means there's little guesswork. Feedback corresponds directly to something listed in the assignment criteria. Third, criterion-based feedback supports revision because it's easy to track backward to the assignment requirements. There are also downsides to criterion-based feedback. Perhaps first and foremost is that criterion-based feedback can easily become intellectualized. How our words wowed, or for that matter, irritated or lost our readers can be hidden behind abstract criteria and jargon. On the other side of things, that feedback can be depersonalized. Instructors and student workers and even our peers can fall into rote responses with this kind of feedback. Criterion-based feedback can also be exclusive. Sometimes readers and feedback providers must have specialized knowledge in order to respond to the criteria. Now, a word of caution before we get into reader-based feedback. Sometimes instructors want students to stick to the criteria in a very strict way. It may help to ask your instructor just to be sure. If they're open to some reader-based feedback, then get ready to enliven your feedback process. Among the many benefits of reader-based feedback, there's first and foremost the reader's experience. And it's something you can't really find in any one rubric. It's kind of in between the edges of that. We get the lived experience of our reader. It's more tactile, it's more robust, it's more spatially situated, it's more situated within communities. Within what's meaningful to a specific reader. And it's hard to get that from a rubric. Another benefit to reader-based feedback is that it's inclusive. Unlike criterion-based feedback, anyone can give reader-based feedback, whether it's our kid brother or our grandma. We can get feedback from them that can tell us something valuable about what we've written and about the experience our audience might have. Finally, there's more authorial control. We can take the emotional lived input from our readers and go from there, or we can leave it be. Oftentimes our readers' emotional gut reaction to a piece of our writing is only tangentially related to what we've actually written. They might be responding to a small part of what we've written rather than the big picture or key elements of what we've written. So that leads us into the downsides. Reader-based feedback is often very subjective. What a reader feels may have little to do with the writing in front of them. Intensity. Strongly worded emotional judgments can hit hard, especially if they're phrased as accusations like "you never" or "you always." If that kind of language is triggering for you, it may be worth asking peers to withhold from reader-based feedback. Finally, reader-based feedback can be mushy for the aforementioned reasons, and therefore, unlike criterion-based feedback, it's hard to track backward to the assignment guidelines. Finally, we have the best of both, which is hybrid feedback, where you can have your cake and your pie, as I like to put it. And the reason we have this squiggly line here is that It can be messy, a little messy, to incorporate both at the same time, especially at first. When we're drawing a line from the assignment requirements or the rubric criteria through what our peer has written in terms of our relevant experience to create hybrid feedback, as you can see, there are a lot of moving parts, and that can look a little messy, like this squiggle. However, our peers, and oftentimes many instructors can see, they can feel that more work has been put into the feedback, and oftentimes peers and instructors alike appreciate that effort to make the feedback more personalized, more connected emotionally to the requirements of the assignment and the rubric through our relevant lived experience. And that concludes our presentation today. Thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions about this video, please leave them in the comments. And have a great day.